So in this short video, I'm going to re-record the last slide of part 2 of lecture 8 on eating and weight. Unfortunately, and for unknown reasons, that last part of the lecture cut off in the recording, so I'm going to re-record that here. So just to orient us to what we were talking about when it cut off, was we were talking about all of the biological factors that impact hunger and satiety and our weight gain and weight loss. And so here I want to turn specifically to talking about the impact of dieting on biological systems. And here with dieting, I mean being on a restrictive diet in some way, right? The word diet just refers to what we eat, but when we usually use the word dieting, we mean being on a restrictive diet, so eating fewer calories or restricting ourselves to only certain types of foods. And so that has an impact on our biological systems, right? We have a set weight range, and our body has all kinds of processes that it brings online when it perceives that we're not getting enough calories to use those calories efficiently, to orient us towards food, and to store anything that's excess. And this, again, would have been adaptive when we were in periods of starvation or low food around, but this is not what we want to be happening when we're trying to lose weight. And this is one of the things that can make it really difficult to do so. And so I want to talk about some of these processes here. The first thing is that dieting slows our metabolism, right? So when our body perceives that it's not getting as many calories as it was previously, it's going to use the calories that it's getting really efficiently, and you're going to burn fewer calories for the same amount of activity. And so this changes that equation, right? People always say, in order to lose weight, it's calories in versus calories out. And so if you diet and you exercise, you'll lose weight. And certainly this is true overall, but it's not that simple, right? That equation shifts. And so as you're dieting and taking fewer calories in, you also put fewer calories out, even for the same amount of exercise or activity. And so this means that the dieting doesn't have as much of an effect as we think it might have. Also, when we're not taking in what our body perceives to be enough calories, it's going to preferentially store anything extra as fat as opposed to storing it in other ways. And this will happen even if you're only eating vegetables. If there's any excess glucose in your system, your body's going to try to store that as fat instead of glycogen. And so you're more likely to put on weight, and particularly around the abdominal area. When we're hungry or dieting, which is often accompanied by hunger, there's increased activation in the parts of the brain that orient us to food. And again, this would have been adaptive, right, to seek out food when we were hungry and to pay more attention to that. That would have led early humans to be more likely to survive when they were energy deprived, if they were devoting that energy and those attentional resources toward seeking out food. We also see decreased activity when we're hungry in the prefrontal cortex. And if you've learned in other courses before about the prefrontal cortex, then you'll know that it's the front area of the brain, and it's largely responsible for regulating our activities and regulating ourself, right? And so if we're trying to avoid tempting foods, and that's the part of the brain that we would use to override any drive we have towards those foods. And that area of the brain is less active when we're hungry, and so it makes it more difficult to resist foods that we want to eat. Also, as you lose fat, right, so say you are successful in your weight loss and you start to lose some of the fat on your body, levels of leptin start to decrease, and levels of ghrelin increase, right? And we just learned what impact those different hormones have on our levels of hunger and satiety. And so this, again, makes people feel hungrier, and so this makes it more difficult to stick to the diet and therefore to lose weight. And so, again, as you're losing weight, even if you're successful, there are processes that continue to make that really difficult, right? You continue to feel more hungry because your body wants more energy like it's used to. Right? And again, this doesn't mean that it's impossible to lose weight, but I think it's very important to understand some of the biological factors that make that really difficult, both for ourselves as individuals, but again, also for society and for how we treat other people. Right? It's not a simple equation. It's not easy to lose weight, and there's all kinds of biological factors that individuals differ on due to genetic reasons that can make it really difficult for people to have what we would consider societally acceptable weight.